Whoops, let me mute the phone, people. Welcome to Stone Soup Poetry as we close out the celebrations for now on our 50th anniversary. Tonight, our special feature is Gary Hicks, who I have not seen in Boston since 2009. Where if he's had any secret meetings, I do not know of them, but or at least secret meetings in Boston. Gary was one of the more thrilling members of the Cantab. This was back in the days, even before I started hosting Stone Soup. Poetry was called slam poetry at the Cantab because sometimes it borderlined to a contact sport, and sometimes Gary Hicks brought out such insane reactions, or just whether proportionate or not. Sometimes it came out in poetry, sometimes it didn't. No matter what he did, it was sure to get a response. He was definitely one of the more exciting members there, and I felt very sad when I ended up recording him one night in 2009, and it was his last day before he was leaving Boston. And to my knowledge, he's not been back since, until now, kind of technically, via the magic of Zoom. And even now, I'm not sure. This could be as suspect as the moon landing because, unfortunately, Gary's camera is busted, but I'll see what I can do to get a picture up. But he is here with us in voice and in spirit, which is what matters most. And I appreciate, despite my scheduling mishaps and other issues, that Gary was able to do this on such short notice. So thank you, Gary. And thank you to everyone who has come onto the open mic. I'm muting select of you now because I don't want to interrupt any poets who are on. And we are going to start with the open mic. We've got over a dozen people now coming on, and I suspect we'll have a few more. So I'm very excited for this. And Eddie, if you're looking to read on the open mic, please let me know. And as I begin to get the live feed on Facebook, which will undoubtedly get us more audience members, I'm going to turn it to one of the first people on tonight, who's the first person on the open mic, coincidentally enough. Let's welcome up someone who just wanted to see his friend, and he can't stay long, but let's get him on as the sacrificial poet. No, there are no sacrificial poets here. Just expendable ones. Okay, now, Mr. John Stern, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Chad. A brief quote from Albert Einstein. The strange thing about growing old is that the intimate identification with the here and now is slowly lost. One feels transposed into infinity, increasingly alone, no longer in hope or fear, only observing. So wrote Albert Einstein. Thank you, Chad. Have a great evening and hit it out of the park, Gary. Good night.
Mm-hmm. Good night, John, and thank you for staying at least to do that. It's very much appreciated. And for those of you who may have to leave as well, I can let you know that this will be available as a YouTube video by tomorrow morning if you join the Stone Soup Facebook page, or just go to one of my websites, stonesoupoetry.blogspot.com, chadpoetforhire.blogspot.com, or chadparentopoetforhire.com. I'm annoying, but at least I have a consistent brand. You can go on there, and there will be links to it. Hopefully no later than 9 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I've eliminated my problems with the past videos. We were having issues before, and if it weren't for the Facebook live feed, we would have lost some of these amazing performances. But thank God we haven't yet. And given my location now, it's a little darker, but the internet is strong, so we shouldn't have any issues tonight. And I want no issues with this. And I want all the poets to speak out. If you were thinking just coming to listen, please share a poem. This is for posterity. This is the 50th anniversary of Stone Soup Poetry, and I appreciate everyone who has come out the last few weeks to be part of this and be part of a living document on YouTube. And these videos, even if YouTube goes down someday, it will be preserved one way or another. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited for everyone participating. And I'm also excited, though wary, about the prospect of celebrating in person come September, because that's the month of Jack Power's birthday. I would love for that to happen. I'm being very guarded. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll go from there. Enough preamble. Actually, that was post-ramble. That was preamble, post-preamble ramble. So let's go on to the next person on the open mic. Let's go on to Miss Mary Jennings.
Thank you, Chad. Welcome, Gary. Hold on 1 second. Just trying to unlock. Okay, I'm going to read a few cinquains, and if oh, what happened to them? And I'll have to give my own preamble about the form of this cinquain. I know people have heard me read them before, but to explain what a cinquain is, it's a 5-line poem, short poem.
Whoops, I may have muted you by accident, Mary.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay. As I was saying, cinquain's a 5-line poem with a 2-4-6-8 2 meter, syllabic meter, which I employ, and so I'll read a few of them. A life into the void, it's been feast and famine. If I stayed, souls murder ensured, starved out. Silence received from me when they wanted applause, decided that my time was up, lose me. In lieu of displacement, we walked out with our goods, wasted, discredited, priced out. Retreat. They say shit rolls downhill. Was promised a life of French vanilla ice cream. Granted, soiled. Let's see, I'm trying to find one more. My name scathed in public. My name scathed in private, sung sweetly in public. Money wasn't where their mouths were. Liars. And that will be it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary.
You're welcome.
Got more people joining us. Welcome, Margaret Nairn. Very close to Jack Powers in Life and After. She should be joining us in a few moments, hopefully less than 10 seconds. The waiting room seems to be keeping people a little longer than I'd like, but thanks to everyone who has joined. I'm going to assume that everyone who's joined, especially in the last 5 to 7 minutes, is part of the open mic. Some of these people, it's easy to make that assumption because they've been regulars from other weeks. And let's hopefully get some more people coming to us. For now, we'll continue with the open mic, and let's welcome someone who is who's particularly close to Carol Weston, who has been asking to be part of this event. And after a few games of phone tag, where I think I lost every time, she is now here with us now. So let's welcome Pamela Ballard. I just asked you, you just need to unmute yourself. There you go. There you go.
Hello.
Hello.
Looking forward to meeting and hearing everybody.
And you as well. So are you reading tonight?
Well, I brought one poem. It would help to know how many people here know French, because it's a bilingual poem in both French and English. How many people might understand some French?
I have a little bit of French.
Let's hear both versions, or if you just feel like doing the French one, that's fine too.
Yes, no, this is how, and there's different ways to do it. This is how it may be the easiest for now, is read the English verse by verse, read the French. I wrote the French first. The English translation's a little shaky. I think it's hard to translate, make it really like poetry. But it was a French poem I wrote, and now it's a bilingual poem I wrote. Okay.
Let's hear.
Inspired by the poet Guillaume Apollinaire. He had a famous poem called Sous le pont Mirabeau, under the Mirabeau Bridge. And some of his most famous lines are two lines from this poem that inspired me. Vienne la nuit, sonne l'heure, les jours s'en vont, je demeure. May the night come, may the hours sound, the days pass by, I remain. So that's how the poem started. And I think I'll read the French first. So each verse I'll read the French and then the English. La nuit douce m'enveloppait. Tout doucement je roulais à travers la forêt. Il n'y avait que la paix. The sweet night enveloped me slowly, driving through the forest. There was nothing but peace. Un vent doux soufflait, très peu dans la forêt. Doucement au visage, la brise me caressait. Dans la nuit si sage. A gentle wind was blowing in the forest. The breeze caressed my face in the night so wise. Lentement je roulais, fenêtre ouverte, pas un son s'écoutait. Slowly I drove, windows open, not a sound was heard. Mais au bord de la mer, sa musique m'enveloppait. L'eau et les vagues murmuraient. Le son éternel de la mer se répétait. But by the sea, the music enveloped me. Water and waves murmured their internal sound. Là-bas, je suis restée. Bonheur, noirceur, douceur. La nuit, ma sœur, m'enveloppait avec douceur. There I stayed, joy, sweetness, darkness. The night, my sister, enveloped me. Je respirais l'air tiède. Je dormais sur la plage. Les vagues sifflaient, soufflaient. La marée montait, baissait. Je sentais le sel de la mer, odeur, douceur, bonheur. Breathing the warm air, I dozed on the sand. The waves whistled and blew. The tide was rising, falling. I smelled the sea. Perfume, sweetness, joy. Le monde se taisait, la lune croissante brillait. Un ciel sans étoiles, une nuit sans fin, noirceur, bonheur, douceur. The world was silent. The crescent moon shone in a starless sky, an endless night. Sweetness, darkness, contentment. Sur la plage, je rêvais, quel bonheur. Vienne la nuit, sonne l'heure, les jours s'en vont, je demeure. On the beach I was dreaming, what joy. May the night fall, may the hours sound. The days pass by, I remain. And the poem was inspired by a town that Carol and I both knew because she spent a lot of time there in Norfolk, Mass.
Thank you very much, Pam, and welcome to the series.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll get to see you live if we get Carol down there in September. That would be great.
Oh, yes, that would be.
Definitely hoping for a reunion. Try not to get my hopes up too much, but you know, we got to work towards something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have next. This man is one of the reasons I'm going to be keeping going with the online series, because I've met a ton of great people over this and a ton of good connections, and just people who have been are either going to be features in the future or have been features as part of this new national drive for talent. And this person's not only featured for Stone Soup in the online version, he's also been a regular on the open mic almost since the beginning. And with that, let's welcome up Mr. John Weswick.
Thank you, Chad. I've got two for you tonight. 30 years ago, my mind wore bell bottoms and paisley shirts. Today, exhausted from making someone else's American dream come true, I'm back again, watching steam escape from a stainless steel teapot atop the kerosene heater in Mr. Lee's office. But why cut off future rebirth when Occam's razor has already sliced the trash heap of America's unemployed from our world view? On my commute home, the city conspires to get me lost by conscripting unsuspecting cars and putting them on patrol until they find their way out. At night, I dream of a room full of corpses under white sheets. I wander the tables, placing radium on bodies, fearing one will grab me, drag me down. The train of Dharma rides on shining silver rails. Each passenger holds a ticket, the destination where the parallel lines meet. And here's just a real short one called A Fistful of Cake. Loaded with hawks' cries and horses' hoofs, Ennio Morricone's score wails as the camera narrows on gunslingers' squints, Eli Wallach's Eastwood's and Lee Van Cleef's hands tremble near leather holsters. A twitch, a fusillade of thrown pasty and chest dripping in strawberry jam. Lee Van Cleef tumbles into an open grave. Eastwood chews the cheroot clamped in his jaws. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. And let's see who we have next on our open mic. Yes, we'll go to one of our guests joining us by phone. You can't see them, even if because cameras can't really. I mean, I guess if you had a cell phone, she could probably join by camera, but she's joining by regular cord phone, so we can only hear her wonderful voice. And she has been joining us ever since the first of these online sessions started for Stone Soup. At first in a recovering room because she had an injury, and now she's been part of not only nearly every Stone Soup, but also the Boston Poetry Marathon, the first completely remote one back in the summer of 2020, and hopefully many, many more to come, both live and remote. It's great that we can get her to share like this. Let's welcome up Carol Weston. And actually, before she joins, I need to make sure that she can. There we go. Wait one moment.
You are unmuted.
Oh,
Sorry for the echo.
okay. Yes. Oh, hello.
You're
okay.
on.
All right. And, this was a particular birthday in my life. Spark, you seized prehistory by the scruff of the neck. My name is Keir All Quest On. I am born of lightning 3.5 billion years ago today, starting with the first cell upon the waters. I am primordial. I live on the land before there were names, the supercontinent Pangea. Every form of life that ever lived lives in my body. I am exhausted as my breathing moves the mountains of my mind. And I move with love for all the forms of life inside me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. Yes.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Thanks,
Carol.
Carol.
And we're going to go to the next person on the open mic. It's like this every week now, and we have Carol online almost for every Stone Soup that we've done since the pandemic started. And now, someone who's been here nearly as long as well. Let me, oh, I hope I can find her. Oh, there you are. Jan Rowe, are you ready?
So this is by Devin Simon, and he attended while we were at the church. He kind of wore outrageous costumes like dinosaur or bear or something. So anyway, this is from the writing group, and I'll tell you, weeklies stack up. And this is from the summer of 2018. Devin Simon writes, this year it was different. Carnival in Dorchester has grown a bad reputation. Violence and drama filled the whole day, and everyone comes back to work on Monday reporting the horrific acts. One year, some people had thrown out their IKEA furniture and a fight broke out where everyone was beating each other with furniture parts. But this year, 2018, it was all different. I mean, everyone was still drunk and high, but at least it was everyone. No stranger was left out. It must be Trump. Now that we all have someone to hate, we don't have to take it out on each other. Everyone danced with someone, and there were even some people giving out free city bikes. I still don't know if the bikes were stolen or not, but I do know it was a summer night in Dorchester, Mattapan, and Roxbury where no one got killed. Thank you, Devin. It wasn't the one I'm looking for. I found that, but that'll be another time.
Nice for Devin to be represented. He came once or twice to a couple of events, once when it was at the Dudley Cafe, and the other time when we were at the church. And I always wondered if he was still doing okay. It's nice to know he's still around. Thanks, Jan. And up next, Devin's a little shy. I can't say the same for this person, which makes me glad he's here nearly every week as well. Past recipient of the Jack Power Stone Soup Saver Poetry Prize. Not content to sit on his laurels, he's been a teaching machine, taking advantage of new opportunities that the pandemic has allowed. And he is here with us tonight. Let us welcome up, if he's going to come back from and hit the chair, Mr. Bill Lewis.
Oh, 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 oh.
I don't get it.
I'm as high as a kite, and the light is the air. My kids are all gone with my love and my care. There's nothing left that I need to explain. I could die tomorrow. I couldn't complain. That being said, I'm not in a hurry. I've got cool things to do, so now I must scurry. As you can see, check out my background here. Yours truly graduated all of his students last week. I made a diploma for them. How is that? Is that the coolest thing in the world? I am happy. I am just, we've come to the end of COVID, and I'm going over all the things that people have done. Oh my God, the amount of stuff that people have done everywhere, thing from helping other people with food, helping other people with business, helping other people. So I am really psyched and impressed by what people have done. When COVID swept the world away, where were you? When your friends were cold and hungry, where were you? When the fires burnt the hills, when the poison spoiled the wells, where were you, my good friend? Where were you? When people were in need, where were you? When you heard their cries and pleas, where were you? When you said, the least of these, did you help them off their knees? Where were you, my good friend? Where were you? When COVID swept the world, we were there. When our friends in cold were hungry, we were there. With our hearts and arms in Zoom, we helped other people bloom. We were there, my good friend. We were there. When the fires burnt the hills, we were there. When the poison spoiled the wells, we were there. We left no one on the street. We worked best under the heat. We were there, my good friend. We were there. We are black and white and brown, and we were there. We are every age and gender. We were there. We helped each other prosper. It's a thing we'd like to foster. We were there, my good friend. We were there. We were there, my good friend. We were there. And there's room to join our cadre if you dare. They're the person on your street. You can help them to their feet. Then we'll all be together. We'll be there. When we all are together, we'll be there. We can work all together if we care. If we build a world for all, we will now all heed the call. We'll be there. We'll be there. We'll be there. Anyway, we can do it. You have the power. Get out there. Do things. The people are right there. Just use your hand. Care about somebody else. You have the power. Go do good things. You can be there too. Yeah, 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 yeah. Take care.
Thank you, Bill. Up next is second of our phone call contributors. And let's welcome up, and she can unmute herself by pressing *6, Miss Nancy Dotson.
Thank you, Chad. Dog versus cat. The dog makes pitter-patter on the stone. The rushing dog begins to bark. Every time I hear a bark, I am fearful. Will I wake someone up during the day, during the night? Will I wake someone up? Will the cat chase a cat up the street? Will the cat chase a cat to the top of the fence? The barks are an interruption as the night wears on. Cats should fear the dog that has never had his nose scratched by cat. To scratch your nose is to fear the cat forevermore. Perhaps it is the best way not to hear barks. Fear is the teacher of jungle law, and perhaps the wisest law of all, instinct.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
And, oh, hi, Margaret. I got you on the open mic, Margaret. Don't worry. I'm glad you were able to get on because I know it was a little rough. Who do we have next? Yes. Another one of my correspondents from beyond Boston, one of the Stone Soup participants. Let's welcome up. And he's since ensconced himself in the Boston scene proper, whether it's by the regular Stone Soup readings here or by contributing to such local journals or Boston-based journals like Oddball Magazine. It's great to have him here. Let's welcome up John Stickney.
Thank you, Chad. So here's one of those dreaded poems about poems. An unclosed parenthesis. 1. Some poems matter only for the future poems hiding in them. 2. Poems with strong words offer safe captivity, allowing us to hide. 3. Poems without form may dangerously spiral, exposing us to unburnt desires. 4. When you are writing a poem, in reality, you are writing 2 poems. One is the poem you are writing, the other is the poem about writing the poem you are writing. 5. When I face myself in the mirror, I am no longer on my own, regarding me there, unblinking, in the beveled edge, a poem. Thanks.
Thank you so much, John. Aha. And now the next person coming up, he has a new free speech forum that I know he's going to want to talk to you about in a little bit. He also has a video collaboration up with Ethan Mackler. We took it from what we thought was lost footage from a recording mishap. And it's tough to do music and poetry together, especially if you're in two different locations, but somehow the magic of the mics work. And unfortunately, Ethan Mackler couldn't be here tonight because of a prior engagement, but we'll get you two back together again, I'm sure. But for now, let's welcome up Mr. C.C. Ashagra.
Okay, yes, thank you. That was quite a surprise to see that appear. That was an experimental piece that was basically going to get edited into oblivion because it was one of those small poems that became 8 pages and then back again. So yeah, Slavelessly So is a very interesting piece, and I'm aware that it had a couple glitches in it. Ethan Mackler and I did do that live. So yes, I'm very, very grateful for Ethan. And I encourage any one of you, because of how it works, we don't know, but he can back you on bass if you want to do that. And so I recommend that. And I miss Ethan, and I hope he's back soon. Today, I want to just take a moment here. And because Chad just mentioned, I do have a project where I'll put it in the link, and I won't say too much about it now. But the Human Room Open Voice is a free speech, open microphone hybrid system, an entire ecosystem that I'm building, launching, and then going to release onto the world as for, of, and by everyone. And that's something that I'll put the link in, and there's a become a member thing, and it's free and unbelievably. And it's for free speech. It's for nonprofits. It's quite an elaborate thing, but it's in its birthing stage. So please dip your toe into that water. I'd appreciate it. And I love you all for that. What I'm really concerned about, and I'm going to read a little poem. I want to say 3 short things. And one is that my brother passed away last week, and that's cool. Stay right where you are. It was 7 days after he got a COVID shot. Now, because I'm spending my life and my entire life on humanity and what is human and what is love and are we and will we make it as a life form, this recent episode of what's happening to us as a life form, I'm going to ask you, the poets listening, to try to do something that is transcendent of hate and transcendent of the benevolent reality that that is being forced upon us, literally dividing us up as a life form and a species, and even separating us as poets. And just recently, someone called me and said, I don't know if I want to live anymore because I can't get the shot. I'm afraid of it because a family member, and maybe I should just kill myself. Now, that's a heavy fucking thing to say, and I'm sorry about that, but that phone rang and it did that to me. Other things have been happening where a friend of mine says, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to know who's got the shot and who doesn't? And then somebody said, well, we could just put a star on their arm and make them walk around with the bands. That's another thing that happened to me this week. And then last week I heard on the radio that the surviving Nazi youth are coming out of the closet. They made a documentary, and there's going to be a film in theater soon. I don't know what this is. I haven't had time to research it, but there's going to be a film in theater soon warning America about what happened to them because they're the remaining those of the Hitler youth. And the film was announced on the radio as a warning to America. So these and poets amongst us, and I have a quote that I like to say and that is that hate and fear require to be hated and feared in return in order to exist. So to love us all and the humanity between us, and especially between us as artists, please be careful with our joy of separation in this time of division and fear that is ruling over us with this whole thing. And please look into eugenics and the history of eugenics and what happened with Operation Paperclip too, and how CIA was formed and how NASA was formed and how one of the greatest mass murderers in the history of the world was made one of the greatest scientists in American history, and how that all happened. So please look into that. I'm going to read a short little poem from a manuscript I wrote 20 years ago. It's called Round Again on This World. And it just goes, come to the sun and see the darkened story of time, tell a tale of dissipation and reach. Go to stand on a world that breathes you and live to withstand the exhale of a lifespan. Birth what realities dream for and be born and shine like the night will become a star gift. And then I asked my spirit to pick a poem out of the dark, and this came out. It's called By Human Ends, #4. It's a manuscript that never got touched. Remember the empty, space once real, wondrous knowledge of wisdom not knowing. A baby, a child, adolescent, adult, you near the end of one lifespan on earth. Of wisdom not knowing, of wondrous knowledge, of spaces once real as the empty remembers. A person you knew is not here anymore, and what remains is still living, once a heart, now a soul. And the thing about my brother that I want to say is that it doesn't matter if COVID had a role in ending my brother's life or not, because once you get the shot, there's no liability. You can cancel your insurance because you've agreed to participate in an experiment. So please be light on the energy that is dividing us as beautiful human souls. Make art, make love, and thank you for letting me do this here today. I'll put the venue thing I'm producing in the chat, and I hope you all dip your toe in that water. Love you all. I'm going to shut my screen off because I'm trying to do this without crying. Thank you. Love you.
Cece, I'm really sorry about what happened to your brother, and I hope you have a good system locally within your family or otherwise to help you get through this. My aunt just got home from COVID treatment. She hadn't taken the vaccine because she was waiting for it to get to Franklin, Mass, and she was in there for the better part of a week, but they say her turnaround was miraculous. She didn't even have to take any kind of weird steroid concoction. But this is going to be
just stay united. We're not against each other in this, is what I'm saying.
I understand.
And my brother was surrounded by profound love, and there's family drama off the hook. But thank you all. I'm going to assume all of you are sending me hugs and love, and I'll let it in. And for those of you that don't, I love you too. So thank you.
Fair enough. I feel better, is all I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you all.
Moving on, we have someone. Someone's been waiting for a little bit. He was a regular at several locations of the Out of the Blue, and the Out of the Blue, the church, now here. Let's welcome up. Hopefully, he can unmute himself, Mr. Chris Fitzgerald. Chris, are you there? Herm, let's see. I don't know what's going on there, but might have stepped out. So I'm going to go to the next person on the open mic. She just featured a couple months back, about a month or so back, and it was fantastic to hear her after also being gone for over a decade. We missed her a lot, and she's here tonight as she's trying to make all the open mics she can. Let's welcome up Colleen Houlihan.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Unfortunately, my video is not working for some reason.
A lot of that going around, but we can hear you fine.
Okay, good. Right. So I actually did not want to read a poem of mine tonight, if that's okay. I'm wondering if anybody's familiar with the poet Bruce Weigel, W-E-I-G-L. Is anybody familiar? Because I carry around a poem of his. I've carried it around for years, and I don't know how I found it, probably a poetry journal. And I'm really attracted to it because it speaks to the gray, and I'm very much a gray. I see the gray in everything, not good, not bad. I mean, we all are capable of both, dimensions. And so I see the gray. And this is called Carp. We fished for carp whose flesh would never find our lips. The bottom feeders' fathers said to kill. We fished at night with bloody bait designed to draw them up from river mud. Our will was to possess a life not ours, to make those glowing spirit bodies understand our need for blood spilled simply for the sake of what we thought it took to be a man. I'll never understand that rage we knew, that knife that someone gouged into the eyes of carp we caught but didn't think to do the killing right, and wasted lives despised for reasons lost now in the blur of days, not boys, but something darker, something crazed. I love that. Thank you.
Hey, Colleen, this is
Yeah.
John Stickney.
Thank you, Colleen.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Ohio, and Bruce Weigel is also from Ohio. He was lived not too far from where I lived.
Okay.
And I saw him socially a couple times, and I interviewed him and for a publication and reviewed one of his books. He's a tremendous poet and just a really nice guy. Very nice
Wonderful. Guy. Good to hear. I'm going to have to find one of his books. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Problem.
Thank you, John. And of course, thank you, Colleen. It looks like Mr. Fitzgerald is unmuted and ready to go. Sir, are you up?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I just messed things up a little bit, but I mean, I'm back now.
No worries. We're ready for you now.
Now this is a letter I sent to this Shakespeare My Ass poem I did 3 weeks ago. This is the letter that goes with it. That I'm doing a Polonius, another Shakespeare My Ass poem, a short one. But here's the letter. I like this letter. This is a work I probably sent you before, but I don't think you had anyone who had any idea that it is Emersonian clarity and with Mannian joy that is the foundation of American literature. You seem to shy away from sentences that are fresh, original, and have a pulse. Instead, choose to have sentences that are derived from the corporate, clone, clown handbook. You would be damned to have someone think that Johnny Jones can jump off a bridge quicker than you, and with better results. Sterile and limp and sterile, the only road you travel. In this work below, I have utilized Shakespeare's The Whole World is a Stage motif. The 3 characters are John Wilkes Booth, Winston Churchill, T.S. Eliot. Between the 3 of them, there wasn't one honest moment. They were all as dishonest, fraudulent, as pathetic as real-life Polonius. Now this is the Polonius poem. Polonius, above all, to thine own self be true. My ass, Polonius. Above all, if you go creeping about spying for a 2-bit pretender, make sure you have a weapon on you to defend yourself. All you had to do was stop Hamlet's first thrust, and he would have recognized you before any more movement. Polonius was Ophelia and Laertes' father. Hamlet and the aforementioned 3 will all end up biting the big one because of Polonius's lack of a pithy saying about creeping about spying. Above all, stay away from shitty plays. Above all, be honest with the person across from you. And your creeping about days are over. And don't be surprised if you don't come up with new pithy sayings every other week. Above all, you gotta accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't fuck with Mr. in between. Don't fuck with Mr. in between. Thank you. Did you hear me all right?
We heard you fine, Chris. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Oh, Gary, I love you. Sorry I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, no one's seen Gary tonight because his camera's busted, but everyone's getting to hear Gary later. So we're this is very exciting. And I love this living document that we're creating right now. And I want to move on to the next person. We're still being joined by people. Hi, Tony. I'll get you on the mic. This is fantastic. Hey, it's a poet in the garden. Anyway, she's no doubt after a hard day of gardening and tilling, she is with us now, and I can't wait to hear her later. Let's go over to another friend of Jack's, who we're glad has been able to join us in the last couple of months, Miss Margaret Nairn. There you are.
Thank you, Chad. Can you hear me better this week? Can you hear it all right?
Yes, right. However you have the mic right now, I think it's good right now.
I'll give it a try.
It's much better.
I have to stop surfing off my neighbor's internet, but it's what I'm doing. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Early morning. Had I but written yesterday, God's company was fresh in mind. Then my sunny nook in shade of port support was all it took to make my later lunch hour one of reverie. I surveyed a sowbug trundle o'er uneven ground and noticed, moving underneath it, a tiny dot of vagrant red traversing slower toward its goal. And so I thought upon the spider mite and bug, both so small to me. I wondered if the one so minuscule, comparatively insignificant to its bigger sowbug, as I must seem next to everything, was I not yet sitting near the wilting sorrel, tucked beside the warm, self-sufficing stones, observing how a few chips of displaced mortar still so lightly sit in place between some bricks, merely waiting for time to come and move them on. Just so the sowbug to the mite must seem, as some passing cloud might be to me, insignificant, but still huge and cosmic underneath the sky. Beyond, there's even more. The cogitating human, not indifferent to their plight, not choosing sides, saying neither one of them is right, not deciding for them, yet they go and do, as may I.
Thank you very much, Margaret. Who do we have next? Next person. I'll be excited to hear her read and see her again. She, along with her daughter, helped to maintain a poetry series once a month at the Menino in conjunction with the Menino Arts Center, and is an exciting poet in her own right and an exciting organizer. And her daughter just graduated this year, correct, or is graduating this year. So congratulations to her with that. Let's welcome up Linda Carney Goodrich. Uh-oh. I think I caught Linda away from the computer. A lot of that going around today. Everyone's multitasking. Let me see. Eddie, would you be interested in reading tonight? I don't know if you can hear me.
Totongi, come alive.
Eddie Totongi, are you there? Eddie, can you hear me? Okay. All right, that's 2 out of 3 down. Before we get to the final feature, I'm going to have to press my emergency Tony button and see if Tony is available to read. I think she's frolicking in the garden now. So, she's gone. All right.
Oh, maybe she just turned her thing off so she could read.
Oh, there she is. Are you able to read?
Yeah, she's got to touch the camera, looks like, I think. And Eddie just texted something, so he might be back.
Not just yet, but if Tony can unmute herself, and then we'll get ready to go, and hopefully Linda will be ready.
Happy birthday, Stone Soup. Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Tony.
I have a poem, but people might have already read it. Anyway, I'm trying to write, but I just wanted to read this. I'm gonna go off screen really quick. I'm still working on this poem. It's a response to when you say you're having an event and then people online be like, I can't come. They just write that short line. So I've got this poem I've started, and it's like, don't tell me you're not coming. Tell us you will be shaking your body with joy that we are meeting up. Say, ants have scheduled you to attend the window washing session, but unfortunately worms are coming over for a bit of mud pie, don't say you can't come. Say that the skyscrapers are talking and their antennas have fallen because of the chirp. I wrote that online today, just underneath underneath somebody who said that they can come to the event. But this has been just lingering in my mind for a while. So I got to finish the poem. But I just wanted to share that because I don't know.
I do appreciate it, Tony.
Thanks for sharing, Tony.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it too.
And Eddie, are you willing to read? You'll have to unmute yourself. There you go.
I'm just here to listen to the beautiful poems and to welcome Gary and Cece. Just on a listening mode. Beautiful poems.
What about the one you read at the mashup? Read that one again.
Oh, you would like to? You still want that one?
I'm requesting it. Yes, it was good.
I read it yesterday at some event at my work. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay. He requested it, so you're bound by internet law now to
definitely,
actually read it.
That's a hard law.
Okay, I think I found it. I found it. It's called Two Plagues in Our Time. Our Time, a meditation on COVID-19 and the Derek Chauvin's verdict. Our time demands a lot more than resolve and strength. It requires a lot less than survival instinct. Our time takes us to the extremities of poles and their irrelevance, redefining enclosed perimeters. It rearranges space. Our time exalts the unexpressed sense of doom, even for those who choose to ignore COVID's perils in the diabolical reverse of wisdom. Some retreat to the Neanderthal time, perhaps free, perhaps, but to die in the solitude of the breathing and feeding tubes, in the solitude of empty space, covered in absence of all things submitted to laws of evanescence. The people came every day to this Minneapolis street corner at the shrine erected since day one to honor George Floyd's memory. It's a matinal symphony of many cosmic events aligned in the pursuit of a better universe. The people are building brick by brick the atemporal affirmation of love, calling for a new humanist covenant. Justice rendered gives indeed such a sweet sense of possible equity, although George Floyd, the sacrificial lamb, killed on a sunny spring day in the name of private property, could enjoy justice's charm. May his killer's guilty verdict pave the way for recognition of the unblemished sanctity and wholeness of Black lives and of all humanity's integrity, along with the respect of our collective right to be and live life unharmed by police abuse. The beauty, the beauty is the constellation of consciences from all earth corners, from all earth's colors, coalesced in the building of a new town. The beauty is the people of all the neighborhoods standing together to demand change. 500 years in the making don't make evil less hurtful, not justice any less desirable in a civilized world. The COVID-19 plague has certainly its toll, economic collapse, descent into joblessness, the flow of tears, the specter of death lurking around the corner, the anxiety as to whom will the ambulance come, the sense that the instant may not last. Yet we continue to love and hope. It's still worse are 500 years of sorrow and heartless deprivation of the soul, the slow continual descent into madness, and yet we always find joy and revive, defiant the beauty hidden even in the darkness. Yet the time demands a lot more. Yes, the time demands a lot more than greed and scapegoating, and less than self-aggrandizement. It's a time of Calvary and elation that has us asking us for higher aims than just the delight of the moment. And a little less than glory, a little less than victory declared in a miles-long cemetery. May the spirits of the fallen in both the social and natural plagues continue to animate awareness and help the sprouting of a new day in the pursuit of a better universe. Thank you. Thank you, Shah. Thank you, Cece, for asking me to read it. I always enjoy reading this poem.
Yeah, internet law. I think Chad said it.
Thank you very much.
It's good to
Eddie.
see you and Gary. I haven't seen both of you in so long. It's so good, yeah.
So nice to see you. Did you see my note? Only Jacques Powers and Aldo Tambellini are missing.
Yes, Jacques Bowers. That's okay. It's all good. Here, I'll do this for you. You haven't seen him in a while. What did I do here?
Oh, you're putting up the picture?
Yeah, I'll do the little. There he is.
There we go.
There you go. Our friend.
I'm going to take one more shot at asking Linda Goodrich if she's interested in reading. Okay, maybe she can do an encore by the time, hopefully she'll be on soon. We're going to go to the next, we're going to go to our closer for this round of the open mic. Maybe we'll do an honorary second round if Linda comes back. But the person who I'm having close now is our usual closer now. It's more than ever now in the wake of Bill Barnum's passing 2 years ago. This person still continues to participate in the open mic in every iteration of Stone Soup since I've taken over as host. He writes nonstop, and his work is partially available in a weekly column at oddballmagazine.com. The column is called "It's All One Thing," and the man who's coming up now, and the column, by the way, is every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock without fail. And the author of that is coming up now to read. His name is James Van Looy.
Thanks, Chad. So I have a poem here called Revelation 3, which is this is a series of poems that came out of this design that I have for labyrinths that I draw on Boston Common. And I've been keeping up, and I actually did this one not too long ago, and I actually did it on the night of the first Extinction Rebellion demonstration in London, all the way up in front of Trafalgar Square, in front of the Art Museum up there. So anyway, this poem is called Revelation 3. In America, politics and angels only meet in Satan, who lives out at the state park, and then shows up late for trick and treat, or worse, when a kitty is killed for a lark. In remote areas, way off the beaten path of personal experiences of the holy divine, and the place right between sensory math and all the categories that we then define with limits of language. And it's just the way we see mom and dad and whatever is fair and foul, all wrapped up in those rainbow rays with feathers sticking up in a crazed dare to do what can't be done out there on the run. No place to go. Even so, just look at the schmo who's got a whole party while we've got none. and turns around to talk about what we all owe to them, but most of all to our very own selves, who say over and over again the same refrain. They're both the same, even as we still delve through all the stories of suffering and pain, the incarcerated masses, life support refugees, homeless horde, pandemic burial ground, abusive relationship, the fatal finality fee they pretend is free, on the ropes in the last round. Nothing ever so different when we're all so stuck with the one that revels in blatant power abuse, the one that never even bothers to give a fuck, and the one who can't even light the fuse. And let me sing a song here. You must leave now, take what you need, you think will last. But whatever you do, wish to keep, you better grab it fast. Yonder stands your orphan with his gun, crying like a fire in the sun. Look out, the Terrorists are coming through. It's all over now, baby blue. The highway is for gamblers, better use your sense. Take what you have gathered from coincidence. The empty-handed painter from your streets is drawing crazy patterns on your sheets. The sky is falling under you, and it's all over now, baby blue. All your seasick sailors, they are rowing home. Your empty-handed army is all going home. Your love who just walked out the door has taken all his blankets from the floor. The carpet too is moving under you, and it's all over now, baby blue. Leave your stepping stones behind, there's something calls for you. Forget the dead you've left, they will not follow you. The vagabond who's rapping at your door is standing in the clothes that you once wore. Strike another match, go start anew. It's all over now, baby blue. Thanks, folks.
Thank you very much, James. And after going through so much of the open mic, nice, very healthy, robust open mic tonight. Thanks to everyone who came. Thanks to everyone who contributed. We are so happy that you did. I hope you all stay and listen to the words of Gary Hicks, because he has been here since the beginning and has heard all of yours. And I have some quick boilerplate to read, and then it's my sacred duty as a host to shut up and let the poets read, especially the feature poet. First, a little bit of boilerplate. Oh, and a little bit of notice. We might be doing an all open mic next week just to do a quick recovery, because we've had a lot go down this past month. And I'm hoping to bounce back with 3 amazing features, one of which will hopefully be Laura Keisel, who is a poet, memoirist, and a journalist whose website Writing for Survival has covered a lot of progressive issues. She has articles on Medium. She has a poetry book that just came out, and I'll be doing my best to promote that. And hopefully in 2 weeks from now, she'll be the first of the features. And then we have some people who are ensconced in the Mass Poetry Festival that just happened, and in mass poetry in general. And hopefully both of those will be announced in the days to come. I'll be taking some time off for the long weekend to do some traveling, and hopefully on Wednesday we'll hit the ground running. And hopefully leading up into the end of the COVID pandemic, Stone Soup will continue to meet, hopefully without too many breaks, in the on a weekly basis online, and hopefully we'll have more news come up as to whether or not we will have a live celebration in Cambridge, Boston, or where have you. And as we see what happens when the restrictions are lifted. Stay safe, all of you, because nothing's certain now, and I want to make sure everyone stays safe. I'm not only speaking to someone who's had family with this issue, but I'm also speaking as someone who works in the hospitals. To just take good care of yourself and stay alert to what's going on to yourself and others. Our feature tonight, by way of this fortuitous online gathering that's been happening since April, May of 2020, is Mr. Gary Hicks. Gary Hicks has been active in the politics of the left since the 1960s and has been at various times an educator, a community organizer, and a cultural worker. In the early 2000s, Hicks worked as a substitute teacher in Boston before retiring to the West Coast in 2009. He has been writing poetry since 1983 and is the author of A Pen is Like a Piece. You pick it up, you use it. Also happy when I got to feature Gary when he was still in Boston in my early days as Stone Soup host. Always wanted to get him back. We were trying to come in for a reunion last year, but that didn't work. But I'm so glad that Gary and I were able to make it happen now. That's all I have to say. It's for those of you who've never heard Gary before, you're in for a treat. For those of you who have heard him before, you're gonna remember what you missed. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together virtually, visually, or otherwise for Mr. Gary Hicks, who hopefully will unmute himself. Whoop, there you go.
Hey,
You're on, Gary.
Thanks everybody.
Welcome home, Gary.
Thank you. I'm going to start out with a poem from an anthology that Tung Gee and a number of us put together way back in the day called Poets Against the Killing Fields. And some background about the poem. In June of 2001, I abruptly came down with arthritis in my left leg and upper hip, that type of thing. And I spent the better part of the summer limping around, not just Boston, but the country, using a long-handled axe handle as a cane. I couldn't afford a regular cane. A lot of things happened, and I'll let the poem explain the outlines of that. The poem is called What the Muse Said to Me Upon Her Return. You silly fuck. You expected me to dwell upside your head while you were drifting back and forth, feeling sorry for yourself because you finally managed to join the club of arthritics and hypertensives after doing all those things to richly earn the membership. You expected me to spend the summer inspiring your feel sorry ass while you were in Milwaukee, Toronto, Providence, and New Jersey pontificating on some newfound brilliance and knowledge trying to be a theory. While some of your comrades pumped you up even though they knew you were so full of yourself. And yeah, you won a slam in Providence, but you didn't do it with any new work. You only did some variation on reading a fucking poem you had already written. I had better things to do. So I traveled, dwelt inside the heads of people living, life and death issues. Palestinians, farm workers in Texas and Ohio, students in Genoa, inmates on death row, guerrilla fighters in Colombia, the families of workers living in fear of their future, listening to all the lies about the economy. For sport, I tripped through the synapses of the twerp from Texas. You know, the one you wrote about last summer that who you said should have his ass kicked. The Shrub W, who became president. It was more dangerous than whitewater rafting in Bubba's head. And this time I had not a paddle, let alone a pool. I managed to let myself out through one of his hubris waxen ears as he kept yelling out hee-haw lynchisms in his sleep. The sleep dreams of a serial killer, I tell you. The sleep dreams of a Führer wannabe. I was going to come back a couple of weeks ago, but you see, I was in New York, and for some reason I found myself in the upper floors of one of the 2 tallest buildings in the city. I was listening to the lives, the hopes, the fears of those who worked the kitchens and cleaned the floors and typed the memos and fixed the computers, all for pay under the table, all without green cards, all living in an existence of terror now redefined forever by those created by W's daddy, whose only concept of the universe was that it's a good place to punch a black hole into, thus ending the speculations of all astronomers. I was lucky. I got out by holding tight onto the helmet of a fireman who got me and a wheelchair-bound worker out of the building. And then he went back in just moments before both of the towers came down. I spent an extra 2 weeks in the city. What you saw on television, I saw with my own eyes. What you heard from the president made me want to puke. The military talk I heard, I can't even repeat. You'll have to find your words for that from some other source. And so I'm back. And you claim you're so glad to hear from me again. Glad that I can once more inspire you with the words. You silly fuck. What you've needed has been there all along. And don't blame that awful Tuesday for paralysis. Everything you needed to write about before 9/11 is still there for the addressing, right alongside your notebook. So stop sulking, get out the pen and get started. There's a long road to travel. There's a big fight on your hands. And boy, you're in it now. Haul ass, you silly fuck. There's one poem. First one. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put these. I'm in a cramped room here with a whole bunch of things here. I take it that everybody in this room, one way or another, has had occasion to run across the textbook Elements of Style. This is for all y'all. Apologies to Mr. Strunk and White. First, it was grammar. All those terms, all those schematic blackboard charts telling what kinds of words went where when speaking or reading. This was supplemented by penmanship using India ink and dip into inkwell pens, assuring that my mother would scream as she tossed yet another shirt to scrub out stains alongside my father's automotive industry leukemia-laden work clothes. Later, it was composition also, jammed down my throat. Hated it with every bone in my body, accepting some moments of fun writing flyers and press releases for the movement, and discovered I could really do this stuff if I wanted to. Then writing in prison letters to the outside, rapping with fellow inmates, which meant writing and talking way too much. It served me well later, in and out of college, except that on the campus, I rediscovered my hatred of writing things not my own. Was I the only one who realized 15 pages or more typed, double-spaced, footnotes properly placed was so tortuous where only 5 pages triple-spaced would say it all? But we were trained to be real or wannabe rulers, and I suppose that it's par for the course to have so evil a skill to be mastered, the better to mesmerize and baffle people out of at least 2 sides of your mouth. When I discovered I could write poetry and proceeded to do so, I finally cut through all this bullshit. And strangely, years later, my writing improved. It was as though I had become an outlaw fugitive from convention, and upon return was convention's master by virtue of knowing what laws to obey, having skillfully broken all of them. This is another variation on poetry. It's called Slam Poetry, East German Standards of Judgment. When I was at Stone Soup in the Cantab Lounge during the 90s, occasionally I was a judge for the slam as well as a participant. And I got a certain reputation. I was called the East German judge. So this is called Slam Poetry, East German Standards of Judgment. And it's a countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. 10. You won't get one from me. You're best from me, 9.9. In any event, this is about poetry, not scores, so read the fucking poem. 9.9, 8, 7. Best expectations, if really good, I'll be judging on quality of reading content of the poem. I will recuse myself from your politics, especially if I like them. This is about a good or not reading of the fucking poem. 6.9 or 0.69. In erotic poetry, this is the difference between reading the fucking poem and just plain filthy speech. I reserve the option to score higher. 6. Just that. Keep on coming back reading the fucking poems. 5.75. 3-minute explanation followed by haiku. 5.0. Lower than a 5.75. This should teach you about conserving words in an otherwise badly read fucking poem. 4, 3, 2, 1. If you scored this low, the one message you should take home is that reading the fucking poem was never ever about the points. And reading the fucking poem does not lead to winning. The slam. And for purposes of full disclosure, no one has ever lost a slam because of bad poetry, but always because of East German judges not intimidated by boos and cheers or booze-fueled cheers, but to even claim this bit of moral comfort and indignation. you first have to read the fucking poem. There will be no zeros. Dead poets never redeem themselves with subsequent chances to read the fucking poem. So in return for the reprieve, read the fucking poem and live. Nobody will get hurt. End of that.
Love it.
And then here we go. Anything else in this that I want? Ah, yes. This is called Would Do Haiku for Food. What would Karl Marx do? Hotly pursue Feuerbach, Cliff Notes to Hegel. What would Lenin do? March our mind, will, and honor into our party. What would Stalin do? This depends upon your needs for saint or demon. What would Mao do? That 70% question reformulated. What would Trotsky do? This depends upon your need to blame or to praise. What would Rosa do? Of which one are you thinking, Parks or Luxembourg? And what shall we do to keep our minds occupied, our hands on the plow? That's that one for that book. Oh, not going to do that. This one is called Everything Gets Cataloged. And I'm actually lucky that I'm alive to tell about what happened in this poem. I am truly lucky to be alive. It took place in 1967. A young Black prisoner walks off the grounds of minimum security camp in Pennsylvania, is on the loose 18 hours, is apprehended by some man who's the town sheriff, justice of the peace, notary public. Later, 2 weeks later, when he gets out of the hole and is now in maximum security behind walls and razor wire, he learns what a goddamn fool he is. Why, every God-fearing white Pennsylvania Deutsch Lutheran man was oiling his rifle, and his beloved wife was poring through the Sears catalog in high speculation over how the $50 reward for that Black man's hide, dead or alive, was to be expended. That young Black man went on to write this poem. And in the years between then and now, also learned how white Sears, so the urban legend went, stole Black Roebuck's share of the enterprise. And therefore Sears, true to the ads and the catalog, had everything. This is from a, nope, not doing this one. I thought I wasn't going to do that. I'm going to do 2 more poems from the first book I wrote, which is A Pen is Like a Piece, you pick it up and you use it. So where are we here? Yes. This poem, it's a 2-part poem written for my daughters back in the late 1980s, or somewhere thereabouts. No, probably in the 1990s. It's called Notes of a Native Goy, Goy. And it's for my daughters, for Emily and Neva. Schwarzes in the house. At TT's, the music of Bob Marley is so loud, I cannot hear Peter Jennings try and explain the television montage, explain the development of yet another Middle East piece. Hear a rally of Hamas supporters, knives, hatchets, guns, all singing for victory or death in whatever order. There, a monster rally of Israelis crying for blood. Hear clippings of interviews of all opinions in the Knesset, and their pageantry and cadence as old Hussein, uniformed in metal bedecked, smiles, salutes, and readies himself one more time to keep the lid on the pot. There is black and white footage of the War of 48, simultaneous trip back in time and glimpse of bloody future. It's on. Once more, it's on, and we who live off stage, off site, even those of us who have chosen sides and have our analysis down pat, have been slapped full in the face by this new drive-by storm of violence in this fertile crescent of total holy war. Somewhere in the cosmos, a security council of the spirit has been called to convene, to once more do damage control in a world where damage is everyone's middle name. All the while, the children of Masada and Mecca are running in the streets, reclaiming the land and heritage of Bar Kokhba and Muhammad, invoking the spirit of the Sikarai and the Fedayeen. And the God of everybody's understanding is passing over in judgment of all the covenant breakers, telling all in a deafening silence that this arrangement cannot be anything but ungovernable. And Palestine rises in her children. Their stones speak to the Uzi, the Galil, and the Ahmed Kar. And who will be the first to call for Jubilee? Part 2. This was specifically for Neva, who who won a trip to Tunis on a one of those, what do they call those things? One of those world trips for being a high school student that wrote a very good essay about something or other. Anyway, she had a choice between going to Hadrian's Wall in Britain or going to excavate a 4th century church in Tunis, in a suburb of Tunis known as Carthage. So this is a poem for her. I mean, based on some Palestine, Daddy. It's Palestine. You admonished me when I used the word Israel in a discussion we were having about the Middle East. You have made me out to be the conservative this time. And this is not bad. Palestine, Daddy, it's Palestine. When you were 9, you called me in California. It was 4:30 in the morning, but 7:30 in Brookline. The time zones couldn't restrain your need to know, who is Gaddafi? You wanted to know this after you waged a spirited argument in his defense in your 3rd grade class, and then realized in the process that you didn't know a lot about him. All you knew was that Ronald Reagan hated him. This was enough. He was doing something right and good, and you said so out loud in your classroom, and great was your faith. Palestine, Daddy, it's Palestine. When you were 13 at the height of Desert Storm, you told your white classmates that his lights would be punched out if he kept talking about the Arabs like they were dogs. I remember the smile on your face when your mother told me about this half in pride, half in fear. That smile and the blurting out that diplomacy was the art of telling someone to go to hell and getting them to look forward to getting there. And great was your faith. Palestine, Daddy, it's Palestine. When you were 15, you went off on an archaeology dig at Tunis. Your mother was worried about the airplane flights. Your sister opined to your mother that the greatest danger, that shopper that you are, you'd never get out of the mall at Rome Airport. I was worried about your being at a great party at PLO headquarters down the street when the Israelis flew over, and great was our lack of faith. Palestine, Daddy, it's Palestine. And now you are grown. You have survived and thrived like Palestine. I look at you and I know that beyond the madness, beyond the confusion, stands one of the faithful, ready to throw down whenever and wherever there's a bigger truth to be told. That was written in the early 90s. And I had to pinch myself when I was looking at this again, because it was written in the early 90s, and this is 2021. It was, I mean, that really hurts in a lot of ways. Let's see. Oh, yes. I was a substitute teacher. I do remember those poems. There's a couple of poems on that one. One is called Quiet Time. Her head is hunched over the table. Her arms are hugging her knapsack for a pillow. She has not bothered to remove her eyeglasses. I have seen this hundreds of times since I started working public school. I have seen this hundreds of times since the first time I asked a young sleepy child what time he got to bed. And yawning like a dragon, he answered, 2 o'clock. When I further asked what movie he watched that was that good, he mumbled something about it wasn't the movie, but his mama and her boyfriend up all night and fighting for real. Since that day, I have let them sleep. And this other one, Cambodian schoolgirl. In the middle of the tumult of rebellious students, yet another substitute teacher was losing his reputation to the warriors of the Dearborn School as he pulled his hair and beard, both graying from having been in combat for too long on this battlefield of his country's class wars. But an unintentioned choreographed incident in the midst of all this made his day. A Cambodian schoolgirl sat next to a black boy, rolling a set of dice. The two pieces of ivory slipped from his hand and bounced across the floor to a resting place beneath her desk. In a graceful motion, slow and totally out of touch with the surrounding reality, she reached under the desk, picked up the cubes, and handed life back to its owner. And then finally, a poem that I often finish my readings with. It's the title. It's a poem based on the book, A Pen is Like a Piece. The poem is called Writing the Fight. Words never come to mind at a convenient moment. If you're lucky, you may have a napkin or even a scrap of toilet tissue. At that moment, that existential instant, convictions, emotions, feelings are welling up, waiting to be planted. Seeds, then buds, finally a harvest of flowers. You may have a pen or someone else's pencil, some lipstick, something to hold in your hand to record what's being captured at that moment. The word made clear even as it makes its way from your heart down the nerves of your arms to your fingertips. You must move quickly. Your mind must be on its feet, or else that instant will pass. Your thoughts will become something profound but not written, the subject of a hidden funeral of the soul, eulogies richly delivered about might have beens that didn't make it. So, paper and pen, I am sitting alone at a table drinking coffee at any one of the thousands of cafes and pubs of my city. I write, I scribble. At a certain point, I find myself keeping still for 5 minutes, 5 hours, weeks, months. I am in the grip of lethargy. It's setting in after a binge of nonstop writing. And I wonder what I'll do this time to break the stranglehold on my mind. And what if I don't? And even if I do, how long will it take to get my breath back? How long will it be before I begin again? But for now, I have my pen in hand. I am at war for my life. And in this war, a pen is like a piece. You pick it up, you use it. Thanks for listening to me.
Let's hear it for Gary, people.
Thank you, Gary.
We can't see him, but he can see us. So get those hands together a few times.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
I am literally looking forward to listening to the rest
Good
of
to hear you, Gary.
Tonight.
That was fantastic.
The Honorable Gary Hicks.
Yes.
Say that again, Gary. I think it didn't come through.
I said I'm going to be sitting here the rest of the evening listening to what everybody else has to say.
I think our evening is just about done unless Linda Goodrich is there and wants to read. But I think we may have lost her. We may have even lost the connection. So, but if anyone has a marker to end that, if they want to end with an epilogue to that, I don't know if anyone dares, then I think the time, Tony.
I think Margaret wants to go. That's my instinct. There's a smile there.
Gary Hicks.
Well, Gary, give us an encore.
Does Gary have an encore?
Gary has an encore.
Yeah, a little bit more, Gary.
Yeah.
Gary, Jill says hi. It's nice to have you here in Boston, even remotely.
Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, I have a couple more.
That's the spirit.
This one is called Appassionata, What Is to Be Done. And it's for a comrade of mine out here in the Bay Area who Tone and I have both known for years, Jack Hirschman. So it's called Appassionata, What Is to Be Done. I looked at the coin, I flipped it. Heads. And revolution is a necessity, born of history and affirming humanity's vote that life must go on. I looked at the coin, I flipped it. Tails. And revolution is highly illegal and punishable by sanctions up to and including torture and death. I looked at the coin, I flipped it. Tails. And radishes, when cut, will show their true white color. And not everyone can be a revolutionary. And we cannot ask people to live a lie, no matter how close the friendship. I looked at the coin, I flipped it. Once more, heads. And beats are red and stay so through and through, no matter what. And the head of Lenin on my coin is silent in his call. Come out of the marsh. That's one. And this one is called Crates. Some things we just could not get through in elementary school without having a good fist fight in the schoolyard. When I was a child, we children would masterfully insult each the other. Reputations rose and fell on our ability to not be the recipient of the last comeback, cutting to the quick, the last razor-sharp word to the heart. We could get volatile. There were things said that were more insulting than the dissing of our mothers, especially if such sayings contained even smatterings of the truth. We would fight at the drop of a hat on a heartbeat. If someone talked trash about our home furniture. Orange crates, someone would sneer. Y'all can't afford furniture. And we would throw down hard. Noses would bleed, sometimes bones would break over those two words, orange crates. Such mutterings took second place only to dissing a mother or father who turned out to be dead. but too many of us coming up poor. Orange crates were all too real to us as living room, kitchen, even bedroom furniture. Most of us who grew up together are dead, pulling hard time, crazy or strung out. I, who have survived the soft Holocaust of the 50s and 60s, long ago learned that words do kill, whether spoken or unspoken, printed or censored. In these days, I stack my books and papers in milk crates in cardboard boxes stacked to the ceiling. All of my knowledge and more of my ignorance contained in this collection. I am beyond fighting over orange crates, but I live in an age where I could die and even kill over ideas stacked in guerrilla furnishings.
Thank you.
The Tony B of approval is one of the highest honors in Stone Soup.
Okay.
Wow, Gary.
Hicks approval is the highest of all.
Good to hear you, Gary. So good to hear you. It's been
so good to hear you.
Keep me posted on your get together in the fall.
I will definitely do so, Gary, and I hope you find a way to make yourself back. If you check out the website, as I'm sure you have, the stonesoupoetry.blogspot.com site, we will definitely do our best to, I'll definitely be doing my best to add on new shows every week. And as for the time being, we're still meeting online only from 7 to 9. And by checking Facebook and being part of the Stone Soup Poetry Facebook page there, all the invites are pretty readily accessible, so you can come on. You can come back anytime you like. And I hope you come back again. And I'm sure people are going to love seeing you again. This is fantastic, and I'm gonna probably contact you later on because we'd love to get more of your more recent work out there, especially with Oddball Magazine being an option now to publish you. I only had the privilege of publishing you once in the old Spoonful Journal, the tribute journal for Jack Powers. If I have my way, I'll be putting out one more issue of that before the year's end, but would love to get more of your recent work up. And it's as fantastic as I remember it. And I'm so glad we have now what's going to happen by tomorrow, like another document of this for everyone to hear. It's good that we're getting the whole gamut of past and current Stone Soup features. People like Dita Galloway, people like Dita Galloway, yourself, Carol Weston in the fall, and hopefully more and more dignitaries returning. Would love to get Joanna Nealon back, but hopefully just more of this for the books, more of this so people can understand what this is like. Stone Soup's documentation, as far as like its TV shows, has been kind of spotty at best. I'm going to be working with Bill Perot's daughter, as he's the one who recorded everything over the last 10 years before he finally gave up around 2016. But that's documentation as well. I hope to find a way to bring online and bring to the people. So I'm glad you're another important chapter of this process, Gary. And I thank you so much for agreeing to do this on what was relatively short notice, but it didn't feel like it. The work is as strong as ever. And I don't know why I needed a reminder of you being the one to coin the phrase, read the fucking poem at the can tab, but
it's shut up and read the poem.
Shut up and read. Well, imitation and gets parsed down. You lose some words in translation. I just always remembered read the fucking poem, quoted by Gary Hicks.
And the line that goes up at the end. Don't forget the line that goes up.
Yes.
Oh God, that one. All right. That wasn't my piano. That was not my poem. That was Taylor Mali.
Oh, jeez.
Wrote, I think I should be, yeah, I think I could be a poet, yeah. It's a howl. You should definitely, if you haven't seen it already, you definitely should. And you should look at, in fact, you should look at a lot of Taylor Mowley stuff on YouTube.
Before that, it was Beware the One Note Piano.
Oh, jeez. Well, Gary, thank you very, very much. I think we can call the night. It's getting closer to 9 o'clock. Not that we get fined if we stay longer, but all I'm going to say is stay tuned, and hopefully in the next 48 hours, we'll get news for next week's Stone Soup, as well as more Stone Soup for June. Hopefully I'll be making some inquiries, follow-up inquiries to people who I wanted to feature back in April, who had to turn me down because of the responsibilities of not just National Poetry Month, but the Massachusetts Poetry Festival. And hopefully we're going to get some amazing announcements coming up, and some people I'm really excited to have return. Some people have already inquired because they have some books coming out. So we're going to have a busy summer. And I hope all of you come back at some point or another to be part of that, or at least be part of the experience after the fact with the Stone Soup videos on YouTube, which I always link on my websites and my social media pages like Facebook on a weekly basis.
Chad, I want to say thank you really a lot for that, for posting that Salem event. And I think you should keep reposting that. The one with you.
The one with the retrospective.
Yeah, that from Salem. You have to see that, everyone. You really have to see Jack's heart and soul and where it came from and what it's about. It is the most important document that I've seen so far, besides us listening to ourselves and each other. It's a beautiful job you guys did that day up in Salem, James, Carol, and then you hosted, you featured Landry. He did an amazing job by not doing his work, but that was also beautiful. So I want to thank you for what you're doing there.
Thank you for coming, CC, and thank you to the rest of you. And it's getting late, although Gary still has a whole night ahead of himself. The rest of us are getting ready for bed. And stay tuned for the Stone Soup Crouton poem this Friday. I'll be linking people via that, via Facebook on that. And we'll do the obligatory wave. Hope you can see it, Gary. We're waving. We salute you. That was a fantastic feature. And thanks for coming back in on the wave, Tony. And stop. Yeah, that looks good. And we'll see you next week. We'll see you soon. It can be like this every week, people. All we need is you. And thank you so much, Gary. And before I go, Gary, if you have anything along the lines of Venmo, Cash App, I'll be posting links to that tomorrow. So if you have anything that you'd like us to give a donation to, whether it's our organization or yourself as an organization, I will share that as well after we share the video. So once again, thank you, and thanks to everyone here. We'll see you. The show's over.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Righto.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.